Genesis chapter 11. One voice, one sound. Whole world speaking with the same mouth. Brick by brick underneath the sun, people felt like they could be one. Golden city rising from the plain, human pride flowing through their veins. Brick by brick, tower to the sky. Hands reach high, trying to touch the divine. Make our name live, never divide. But pride goes up before the fall arrives. One song, one dream, one city glow. And the whole thing scattered with the wind that blows. Genesis 11, hear the skyline split. God brought the world back down again. Yeah, Genesis 11, people moved east, settled in Shinar where the rivers meet. Same words spoken, same plan shared. One united people standing there. Come make bricks and burn them strong. We build together all night long. City lights in the tower high, stretching up through the open sky. Make our name before we fade. Don't let the nations drift away. Hands kept moving through the smoke and dust. More confidence, less trust. Tower rising through the clouds above, trying to reach heaven without God's love. Human glory in the skyline gleam. Everybody caught inside the dream. When the Lord came down to see the city and tower of humanity, He looked at the pride inside their hearts, saw rebellion from the very start. Brick by brick, tower to the sky. Hands reach high, trying to touch the divine. Make our name live, never divide. But pride goes up before the fall arrives. One tongue, one dream, one city glow. Then the whole thing scattered with the wind that blows. Genesis 11, hear the skyline split. God brought the world back down again. Yeah. Nothing they planned will stop at this pace. Come, let us confuse the language. Suddenly voices stop making sense. Chaos spread through the tense event. Builders yelling but nobody knew. Words broke down in the middle of the room. Plans collapsed where the tower stood. Pride shattered where the skyline grew. Friends split off to different lands. Nations forming by God's hand. Languages spread through the earth below. Human history changed through the flow. Bible name where the speech got torn. One world split and the nations born. The tower stopped in the desert heat. Dust still falling through the empty streets. When the chapter shifts and slows, the family line begins to grow. Through the chaos and scattered roads, God still carrying covenant hope. Abram's name appears at the end. One man chosen while the nation spread. Genesis 11 ends deep and strong. God still moving history along. Gold light shining on the tower wall. People rise but kingdoms fall. Human pride in the skyline view still can't reach what only God can do. Voices scattered through the earth below. Nations rise and the rivers flow. Genesis 11 lets the whole world know God alone rules the heavens above. Brick by brick, tower to the sky. Hands reach high, trying to touch the divine. Make our name live, never divide. But pride goes up before the fall arrives. One tongue, one dream, one city glow. Then the whole thing scattered with the wind that blows. Genesis 11, hear the skyline split. God brought the world back down again. Genesis chapter 11, through the skyline haze. Tower shadows in the desert plains. Human pride tried touching the throne, but heaven showed who rules alone. Brick by brick, then dust again. Languages scattering among men. Genesis 11, through the evening glow. God still guiding where the nations go.
Genesis chapter 32, dark road ahead. Esau coming with 400 men. Past came back like a knife in the chest. Jacob couldn't sleep, couldn't rest. Wrestle till dawn, don't let go. Pain cuts deep, but the blessing flows. Fight through fear till the morning light. God changes names through the darkest night. Jacob split the camp trying to survive. If one gets hit, maybe one stays alive. Then he prayed with a shaking breath. God, please save me from my brother's threat. I'm not grace. Goats and camels in a hidden rows, trying to soften Esau before he shows. Then Jacob stood by the river alone. No more servants, no family home, just darkness hanging over the sand. And suddenly somebody grabbed his hand. Dust, dust, dust flew wild underneath the stars. Jacob wrestling through emotional scars, hour after hour, through the midnight strain. Fear and guilt mixed together with pain. Wrestle till dawn, don't let go. Pain cuts deep, but the blessing flows. Fight through fear till the morning light. God changes names through the darkest nights. The stranger touched Jacob's hip with force. Pain shot deep, but Jacob held on. I won't let go till you bless my name. The night grew tense with holy flames. What's your name? The stranger said, Jacob. Carrying years of regret. No more Jacob from this night on. Israel now, you stay strong. You wrestle with God through the fear and pain, and somehow survive through the rain. Sun rose gold through the desert fog. Jacob limping after wrestling God. Pin your name. Where the fight went down, I saw God's face, and I'm still around. Genesis 32 ends rough but strong. A broken man still moving on. Some nights change your whole life. Some prayers turn into fights. Grace meets people in the dark. God rewrites the human heart. Wrestle till dawn, don't let go. Pain cuts deep, but the blessing flows. Fight through fear till the morning light. God changes names through the darkest nights. Genesis chapter 32. Sunrise bleed. Jacob limping, but finally free. Not the same man from years before. God changed him through the midnight war. Genesis chapter 33. Peace treaty. Genesis chapter 33, sunrise glow. Jacob looking down the dusty road. Esau coming with the crew behind. Old fear still heavy on his mind. Low ride breeze through the desert sand. God still moving through divided fam. Slide real slow through the family pain. Years went by, but the scars remain. Hands once tight, now open wide. Grace came through when the brothers collide. The west side went through the promised land. God still healing broken fam. Genesis 33, let the whole thing breathe. Peace came down through the family tree. Jacob lined the family side by side. Servants first while the pressure rise. Leah next and Rachel behind. Trying to protect what stayed in his mind. He walked ahead through the desert heat, bowing low on the dusty street. But Esau ran with his arms spread wide. Years of anger falling aside. Tears hit hard when the brothers embraced. Pain dissolved in the desert space. No sword drawn and no blood shed on it. Genesis chapter. Genesis chapter 34, calm day crack. Dinah stepped out and the peace got snatched. One bad move turned the whole thing black. Blood in the streets and there's no way back. Old school drum with the tension packed. Family raid in the payback snap. Eye for an eye, blood for shame. Violence spreading through the family name. One wrong act and the whole thing burns. Revenge moves fast when the anger turns. Genesis 34, hear the old streets talk. Pain turns deadly when revenge takes walk. Truth gets lost when the hatred stack. One dark chapter and there's no way back. Genesis 34, Dinah walked out. Daughter Aaliyah moving through town. Shechem saw her and took what he wanted. Sin moved quick and the whole land felt haunted. But after the act, his feelings changed. Wanted Dinah to wear his name. spoke to his father with desperate pride. Get me this girl to be my wife. Yeah, Jacob heard but stayed real still, waiting till his sons came in from the fields. Then Hamor came, trying to make peace, talking marriage and unity. Join our families, share the land, trade together, all expand. But Dinah's brothers move with rage, quiet anger underneath the face. Shechem shamed our sister's name. Now you think life just stays the same? Still the answer's smooth and calm, planning vengeance all along. If your men get circumcised, then maybe peace can arise. I'm more agreed with the whole town fast, didn't know destruction coming back. Eye for an eye, blood for shame, violence spreading through the family name. One wrong act and the whole thing burns. Revenge moves fast when the anger turns. Genesis 34. Hear the old streets talk. Pain turns deadly when revenge takes walk. Truth gets lost when the hatred stack. One dark chapter and there's no way back. Third day hit when the pain ran deep. Men too weak to move their feet. Simeon and Levi grabbed the blades, walked through shaking, filled with rage. Killed the men through the city streets. Hamor fell in Shechem seats. Dinah taken safely back. But the whole city got attacked. Jacob's sons rushed through the place, taking livestock, wealth, and grain. Women captured, houses stripped, violence spreading after it hit. Jacob spoke with fear and stress. You brought danger on all of us. Now the nations round this land will rise against our family camp. But Simeon answered cold and direct. Should he treat our sister with disrespect? Genesis 34 ends rough and grim. No clean hero standing in it. Pain turned rage and rage turned blood. Hatred flooding like a flood. The chapter closes tense and black. One violent act and no peace back. Old school pain through the desert night. Family honor turned to fight. Justice mixed with human rage. Violence right in another page. Nobody leaves this chapter clean. Broken hearts in every scene. Genesis 34 lets the whole world know. Sin keeps spreading where revenge still grows. Eye for an eye, blood for shame. Violence spreading through the family name. One wrong act and the whole thing burns. Revenge moves fast when the anger turns. Genesis 34. Hear the old streets talk. Pain turns deadly when revenge takes walk. Truth gets lost when the hatred stack. One dark chapter and there's no way back. Genesis chapter 34 through the cold night air. Anger moving everywhere. Dinah's pain shook Jacob's house. Violence answered all throughout. Old school drum while the dust still blow. Broken families through Jericho Road. Genesis 34 lets the whole world see. Revenge brings scars for eternity. Genesis.
Genesis 35. Back to Bethel. Genesis chapter 35. Palm trees sway. Jacob moving back God's way. After the chaos, after the pain, God called him back to Bethel again. Warm night breeze through the campfire glow. Time to leave the old things alone. Back to Bethel, leave the old behind. God's still calling through the sands of time. Wash it clean, let the idols fall. Heaven's still speaking through it all. Southside breeze through the desert glow. God's still leading where the faithful go. Genesis 35, hear the whole camp yell. God brought Jacob back to Bethel. Genesis 35, God spoke clear. Rise up, Jacob, leave from here. Go to Bethel, build the place where I appear through all your pain. Jacob called the household near. Throw away the idols here. Wash yourselves, change your clothes. We moving where God wants us to go. Foreign gods buried underneath the tree. Oh, life gone permanently. Fear from heaven fell around the land. Enemies couldn't touch the camp. Jacob reached Bethel once again, built an altar there for him. El Bethel through the night air rose, house of God where mercy flows. Then Deborah passed beneath the tree, Rebecca's nurse from the family. Tears fell soft through the evening breeze, another grave underneath the leaves. Back to Bethel, leave the old behind. God's still calling through the sands of time. Wash it clean, let the idols fall. Heaven still speaking through it all. Southside breeze through the desert blow. God's still leading where the faithful go. Genesis 35, hear the whole camp yell. God brought Jacob back to Bethel. Then God appeared once more at night, blessing Jacob in the firelight. No more Jacob from this day. Israel now, the heavens say. Nations rise from your bloodline flow. Kings will come from the seed you sow. Land I promised Abraham's line now continues through your time. Oil poured on the sacred stone. Worship rising heavenward strong. Then the journey moved ahead. Pain still waiting around the bend. Rachel labored hard with breath, giving birds close to death. Benjamin born through the tears and cries. Rachel fading beneath the skies. Jacob buried her by the road, sorrow heavy through the journey's flow. Pillars standing in the dust and rain. Love remembered through the pain. Your Reuben crossed the boundary line. Sin moving through the family line. Israel heard but silence stayed. Tension growing underneath the weight. Genesis 35 moves bright then dark. Joy and grief both leave their marks. Isaac passed old and full of years, buried by sons, one split through fear. Esau standing side by side, family reunited for a time. Genesis 35 through the Miami night. God still leading through loss and light. Palm tree shadows, stars above. God still moving through covenant love. Bethel calling through the years, healing hearts through joy and tears. South Beach breeze, but the soul runs deep. God's still watching while the family weeps. Genesis 35 lets the whole world know grace still grows where the hard winds blow. Back to Bethel, leave the old behind. God's still calling through the sands of time. Wash it clean, let the idols fall. Heaven still speaking through it all. Southside breeze through the desert glow. God's still leading where the faithful go. Genesis 35, hear the whole camp yell. God brought Jacob back to Bethel. Genesis chapter 35. Moonlight fade, old idols buried beneath the shade. Rachel gone, but the promise stayed. God still guiding Israel's way. Back to Bethel, through the storm and pain. Grace still calling the heart again. Genesis 35 through the ocean breeze. God still brings people back in peace.
Genesis 36, Kings of Edom. Genesis chapter 36. Records unfold. Esau's line rising rich and bold. Chiefs and kings through the desert sand. Kingdoms building through the land. Power growing through the bloodline flow. Edom rising while the generations grow. Kings of Edom, names ring loud. Mountains echo through the desert clouds. Generations stacking, legacy built. Power moves through the houses they built. Red earth roads where the rulers stand. Kingdom spreading through the land. Genesis 36, hear the empire grow before Israel even had a throne. Genesis 36, Esau moved away. Too much wealth for both camps to stay. Jacob stayed in the promised side. Esau settled where the red hills rise. Edom farmed through the mountain range. Family branches spreading names. Wives and sons through the timeline move. Generations building the roots. Eliphaz green wheel, chiefs arise. Tribal leaders multiplying wide. 10-man Omar, Kenaz too. Strongholds growing into view. Then Amalek entered through the line. Future conflict hidden in time. Chiefs of Edom filled the land. Power spreading through the desert sands. Horites lived in kingdom structures rearranged. Kings of Edom, names ring loud. Mountains echo through the desert clouds. Generations stacking, legacy built. Power moves through the houses they built. Red earth roads where the rulers stand. Kingdom spreading through the land. Genesis 36, hear the empire grow before Israel even had a throne. Then the chapter shifts toward kings. Before Israel ruled anything, Bela rose with royal fame. Then another took his place again, Jobab next. Then Husham came, kings rotating through the ancient game. Hadad fought and victory spread, power moving where the armies led. Samlah rose, then Shaul, two dynasties changing as the timeline moved. Bauhanan and Hadad's reign, Edom's kingdom fully came. Chiefs still spread through the desert side, strongholds growing far and wide. Names recorded line by line, history building through the timeline. Genesis 36 moves clean and wide, nations growing through Esau's side. Not the covenant line alone, but kingdoms rising before the throne. God still moving through every land, history shaped through sovereign hands. Even outside the promised flow, generations rise and kingdoms grow. Chiefs and kings through the mountain haze, names remembered through ancient days. Power spreads while the timelines roll, history moving under God's control. Edom rising through the desert heat, kingdom roads beneath their feet. Genesis 36 lets the whole world know, nations rise before the promise grows. Kings of Edom, names ring loud. Mountains echo through the desert clouds. Generations stacking, legacy built. Power moves through the houses they built. Red earth rolls where the rulers stand. Kingdom spreading through the land. Genesis 36, hear the empire grow before Israel even had a throne. Genesis chapter 36, sunset red. Edom rising while the years spread. Chiefs and kings through the mountain stone, building nations of their own. History moving through every land, still unfolding through God's hands. Genesis 36, through the desert glow. Kingdoms rise and kingdoms grow.
Yeah. Dreams in color underneath the lights. Everybody smiling till the jealousy rise. Gold on the coat, stars in the sky. God showed purpose before the world knew why. Brothers hate when the favors show. Destiny heavy on the young soul. Genesis 37, hit a heartbreak start. Yeah. Dreams can make enemies before they make art. Genesis 37, Joseph 17. Yeah. Youngest favorite in the family scene. Israel loved him more than the rest. Made him a coat standing out from the rest. Brothers sat in the hatred grew. Couldn't speak peace when he walked in the room. Then Joseph dreamed in the midnight haze. Bundles bowing in the harvest place. He told the brothers what the vision showed. Now to sit jumping like a video. Dreams in color,
Cinematic, jealous and dreamlike.
the chapter should feel like destiny.
Awakening through Joseph's dreams, while jealousy slowly turns deadly around him. Genesis chapter 38, Scarlet Thread. Genesis chapter 38, strange road turn. Judah left while the campfires burn. Different chapter, different vibe. Sin and secrets living side by side. Low lights flicker through the desert haze. Choices echo through the passing days. Scarlet thread through the broken line. God still moving through the dark sometimes. Truth comes out when the silence cracks. Hidden sin always circles back. Masks fall off when the pressure hit. Nobody clean in the middle of it. Genesis 38, through the midnight dread. Grace still moving through the scarlet thread. Genesis 38, Judah broke away. Stayed with the Dulam through the passing days. Found a wife and built a home. 3 sons born while the years rolled on. Earth came first, but the Lord saw wrong. Darkness living deep and strong. Life cut short before it grew. Then Tamar entered the family too. Onan told to raise a line for his brother through the ancient custom time. But selfish moves in the shadow stayed, refusing the child that should have been made. The Lord saw through the hidden game. Judgment came and he died the same. Judah feared for his youngest son. Told Tamar wait till the years had come. But time moved on and nothing changed. Tamar trapped in the waiting pain. Then Judah's wife passed from the land. Grief sat heavy upon the man. Scarlet thread through the broken line. God still moving through the dark sometimes. Truth comes out when the silence cracks. Hidden sin always circles back. Masks fall off when the pressure hit. Nobody clean in the middle of it. Genesis 38 through the midnight dread. Grace still moving through the scarlet thread. Tamar heard Judah traveled near toward Timnah for the sheep sharing year. So she covered herself in disguise, sat by the road with hidden eyes. Judah saw her through the veil and shade. Didn't know the trap was laid. He offered payment from the flock instead. But Tamar asked for a pledge, her head sealed in court and staff in hand. Judah left without understanding. Then Tamar vanished from the roadside scene, leaving silence in between. Months passed by till the rumors spread. Tamar pregnant, the people said. Judah burned with angry pride. Bring her out, the old man cried. Then Tamar calmly sent the proof. Whose seal in court produced this truth? The whole room froze while Judah stared. His own possessions laying there. Then Judah spoke through the shame inside. She's more righteous than I. Truth hit hard in the open air. Hypocrisy stripped completely bare. Twin sons born through the painful thread. Perez first with Zerah spread. Scarlet cord on the tiny hand. Future moving through broken plans. Genesis 38 and strange and rough. Human hearts exposed enough. But somehow through the shame and sin, God still carried redemption in. Dark roads twisting through the night. Truth still rising into light. Broken people, hidden shame. God still moving through the pain. Scarlet thread through history flows. Grace still grows when nobody knows. Genesis 38 lets the whole world see. God still works through broken humanity. Scarlet thread through the broken line. God still moving through the dark sometimes. Truth comes out when the silence cracks. Hidden sin always circles back. Masks fall off when the pressure hit. Nobody clean in the middle of it. Genesis 38 through the midnight dread. Grace still moving through the scarlet thread. Genesis chapter 38, desert cold. Stories hidden, getting slowly told. Judah broken by the truth he faced. Mercy still moving through disgrace. Scarlet thread through the family line. God still working through space and time. Genesis 38 through the midnight dread. Grace still glowing through the human heart.
Yeah. Genesis 39. Genesis chapter 39, city lights blow. Joseph stepped down on Egyptian roads. Chains on his hands, but the vision stayed. God still moving through the workplace maze. Suit and tie energy in the foreign land. Yeah. Young man rising with a gifted hand. Corner office, prison hall. God still with him through it all. Yeah. Up
one floor, then another fall. Still can't stop the favor call. Boardroom dreams in a foreign zone. Yeah. Built from pressure all along. Genesis 39, watch the whole thing shift. God still elevates through the politics. Genesis 39, Joseph sold away. Potiphar bought him that same day. Egypt walls and palace halls. Yeah. Still the blessing followed through it all. On everything Joseph touched got blessed. Potiphar trusted him with the rest. Books ran smooth and the field stayed green. Whole estate running like a perfect machine. Youngest sharp with a clean cut glow. Favor rising while the profits grow. Then temptation walked through the room. Potiphar's wife trying to pull him to come lie with me. Every day she pressed. Joseph stayed disciplined under stress. How could I betray this trust? How could I sin against my God above? Then one day, nobody else around, she grabbed his robe while the tension moved. Joseph ran while the fabric tore, leaving the coat there on the floor. Now the whole narrative switched real quick. False accusations hit like bricks. Potiphar burned with rise and rage. Joseph thrown in the prison cage. Yeah. Corner office, prison hall. Yeah. God still with him, do it all. Up one floor, then another fall. Still can't stop the favor call. Boardroom dreams in a foreign zone. Yeah. Built from pressure all alone. Genesis 39, watch the whole thing shift. Yeah. God still elevates through the politics. Iron bars and concrete walls. Yeah. Still the favor, follow through it all. Ward and watch the way he moves. Saw discipline and leadership too. Soon, Joseph running every wing, managing prisoners, handling things. Same old pattern in another place. God still giving them uncommon grace. Pit to slavery, prison to power, pressure building every hour. But Joseph never lost the code. Integrity carried the heavy load. Most men break when the spotlight fades. Joseph kept working through the dark days. Didn't quit when the lies got loud. Didn't fold when the room got cold. Genesis 39 feels corporate clean. Promotion, moving behind the scenes. No matter where the system placed him, God still elevated and sustaining. Office floors, of prison cells. Favor still follows where purpose dwells. The dream delayed, but not destroyed. God still building through the unemployed. Glass ceilings and prison gates. God still opens impossible ways. People lie and systems fail. Still the calling never derails. Pressure sharp but the vision clear. Hey, God still working through every year. Genesis 39 lets the whole world see. Favor survives adversity. Corner office, prison hall. God still with him through it all. Up one floor, then another falls. Still can't stop the favor call. Boardroom dreams in a foreign zone. Built from pressure all alone. Genesis 39, watch the whole thing shift. God still elevates through the politics. Genesis chapter 39, through the neon glow. Joseph's still rising from the valley low. False words came, but the dream stayed lit. God still moving through all of it. Egypt nights and the prison bars still couldn't block what God had started. Yeah. Genesis 39 through the city steam. Woo! Pressure builds powerful dreams.
Genesis chapter 40, Forgotten Dreams. Genesis chapter 40, cold walls breathe. Prison nights where the shadows creep. Joseph still locked through the favor stay. Dreams still moving through the dark gray haze. Slow jazz drums with the midnight glow. Time moves different when the hope moves slow. Forgotten dreams in the prison dark. Still hear heaven through the iron bars. One man rising while the years drag on, helping everybody else move on. Cups and bread, visions in the night. God still speaking where there ain't no light. Genesis 40 through the slow survive through forgotten dreams.
Yeah. Genesis 40, Pharaoh got mad. Cupbearer and baker both sent back. Thrown in prison where Joseph stayed, under the captain of the guard's domain. Joseph watched them day by day. Both looked troubled in a different way. Why your faces looking stressed like that? They answered low in the prison black. We had dreams, but nobody knows. No interpreter for where it goes. Joseph paused and calmly spoke. Interpretations belong to God alone. Cupbearer first with the vine branch seen. 3 branches growing fresh and green. Grapes pressed down into Pharaoh's cup. Joseph nodded while the sun came up. 3 days more and you'll be restored, back in the palace before the Lord. Please remember me when you leave this place. I've done no wrong to deserve these chains. The baker heard in step with hope. 3 bread baskets balanced close. Birds kept eating from the top one there. Joseph answered through the heavy air. 3 days more and your life gets cut. Birds will feed where your body hung. Silence froze through the prison halls. Dreams still echoing off the walls. Forgotten dreams in the prison dark. Still hear heaven through the iron bars. One man rising while the years drag on, helping everybody else move on. Cups and bread, visions in the night. God still speaking where there ain't no light. Genesis 40 through the slow jazz theme. Some people survive through forgotten dreams. Third day came, Pharaoh's feast. Everything happened exactly. Cupbearer raised back to the throne. Baker gone just like foretold. Joseph watched through the prison gate, hoping freedom finally on the way. But the cupbearer might speak his name. Maybe this would end the pain. But time kept moving, silence stayed. The cupbearer forgot his face. Joseph still trapped in the prison scene, still holding on to unseen dreams. Genesis 40 ends quiet and cold. No breakthrough yet, no victory shown. Just another night beneath the stone. Still believing while feeling alone. Not every promise breaks through fast. Sometimes hope gotta learn to last. God still moving behind the screen, even when the world forgets your dreams. Slow saxophone through the prison air. Lonely prayers floating somewhere. Dreams still living underneath the pain. Purpose waiting through the rain. Some seasons move painfully slow. Still the future underneath it grows. Genesis 40 lets the whole world see. God still works invisibly. Forgotten dreams in the prison dark. Still hear heaven through the iron bars. One man rising while the years drag on, helping everybody else move on. Cups and bread, visions in the night. God still speaking where there ain't no light. Genesis 40 through the slow jazz theme. Some people survive through forgotten dreams. Genesis chapter 40. Through the midnight glue, Joseph still trapped, though the visions prove true. Cupbearer gone while the chains still cling. God still building something unseen. Late night echoes through the prison's team, still surviving through forgotten dreams.